I have no idea what happened. All of a sudden, my volume wasn't working out of nowhere. A pity. Welcome. I have no idea what happened or why that worked. I mean, why the sound just stopped. So sorry, guys. Here, let me see if I can. Hi, Jamie Lynn. Yay, you can hear me. I don't know why. Whatever. It is what it is, you know, as they say, you persevere. So, yes, welcome back. Thank you. I had no idea what happened. I think it has to do with my headset. I'm going to blame the headset. Thank you, guys. Thank you for making your way back here. Sorry to make you click so many things. Yes, we are all here. We're making our way back to you, babe. With an inside. Boom. I'm just gonna wait for like at least because we had 60 people. I don't want to leave them behind. So if you have questions, you can start typing them. I'll answer them right now. Yes, I know you. Says you're in it. Is it wigging out? Hello, welcome, my friends. Sorry, I don't know what happened. We're gonna wait till we get about 20 or 30 people. We don't have a lot of time left and then we'll be easy. Yay, it is working. Hello, welcome. I don't know why we had to play that game, but okay. This is like when you just go, okay, technology. Yes, absolutely. QR codes are awesome. Go for it. What I did with Littles and QR codes is that I had QR codes around the room, and when they used the QR reader, it was a picture. So it'd be like cheese, and then they'd have to write the word cheese. Yes, I know. Can you believe that? All right. So sorry, guys. Going back to it. Yay. Oh, I'm so glad you can hear me. So going back to the questions, I can't remember what I was talking about when everything went silent. I'm glad you made it. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why that happened, but it did. Pet peeves. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you know, I think it's really important to be honest with students. If I want my kids to feel comfortable failing in front of me, and maybe even facing some fear of that, then I need to show them how to do that. This is how you push through even when you're afraid. So the next question is, what is your favorite time of the school day? That's so hard because there's so many good moments. I mean, there's when everybody shares their feelings moment, which is like always such a delight. I love singing with the kids. I really like when we're doing quizzes together and they're just like really competitive and adorable. And, you know, I love the end of the day when they're gone and like the ghost of the day is still around. So like as I'm kind of like puttering around in my classroom doing whatever daily task that is, I'm like almost reliving these really awesome moments that I had with these little humans. So it's hard to choose a favorite time of the day. I will tell you I'm a weirdo and I love Mondays and I don't like Fridays very much. how do you manage bathroom breaks? So I am a controversial human when it comes to bathroom breaks, because or used to be rather, because I used to be like, oh, let them go anytime. If they're going to the bathroom because they need a break, then let them be on a break. But that really wasn't teaching the kids what they needed to learn about perseverance. It just kind of taught them that I was giving them this free out. So then I started doing things like, oh, you need to go to the bathroom? Okay, that's going to be a $2 debit. And that was huge. And all of a sudden, kids who were dying to go potty, suddenly didn't need to go to the bathroom anymore. So the conversation would literally be, hey, Mrs. Rogers, I have to go to the bathroom. I mean, if it was like instruction, I'd be like, dude, you losing your mind? Have a seat for a second, we'll chat. But we're all working. I need to go to the bathroom. Awesome. All right, bring me your credit and debit log. I'm going to take $2 away. Not necessarily do they need to go back. They don't need to go to the bathroom all of a sudden. You do want to read your cumes because there could be health information centered around bathroom needs. What I've seen other teachers do, which I think is so smart if you have it. Oh, Megan is bragging about her Jack and Jill bathroom. I don't blame you, girl. I'd be bragging too. And I will talk about potty breaks as well. So one of the things I've seen teachers do is they have a timer or a clock at the top of a clipboard. And then the student has to write their name and the time, and then the time they come back. Another thing I've seen teachers do is use those hand sanitizer pumps as the bathroom pass. And then when the students get inside, they use the pump before they put it away. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You can make it a tax in your economy like I did with the debit. You could do it like this lady did. There's so many different ways to do it. You really want to do it in a way that makes sense for you. Oh, thank you, Maddie. Yes. And okay, so Dominique just said, I like the idea of familiarizing kids with credit and debit concepts. It changed, I was teaching fifth grade for several years when I found this. And then all of a sudden my kids understood negative numbers. It was literally out of the credit and debit log. It was the only thing I changed that year. And the conversations that they had always centered around the debits that were taken out. And they interact with the idea of adding up all of your credits, adding up all of your debits, finding the difference, and that's the total. That's like a math rep almost. That's like that idea of doing the same thing over and over again. So that is yay. Oh, one second. I think I just read. Right when the ELA lesson starts and the hands go up to use the bathroom. I know. They can have 4 coins. Oh, okay. So very nice. So, okay, coins, that works. Yes. So Annelle's talking about her system about how they had 3 passes for the week. Oh, but they could ask a friend. Annelle, that's genius. So next is, do I play the ukulele in class? Yes, I do. You're going to find in your own heart, in your own way, in your own passions, in your own connections, that there's going to be heart lines that connect you and the kids. And it's not going to be anything I can tell you, because it's going to be like, maybe on Fridays you start teaching crocheting for dexterity, and all of a sudden this whole new passion ignites in you. I don't play the ukulele in the staff room, but I would upon request. I am an embarrassing human, and I do have an embarrassing ukulele story. As always, I was just learning. I noticed a dude with a ukulele. I had no shame, just went up to him and said, oh, you're playing the ukulele? I'm learning. And he's like, oh, do you want to? And I was, yes. And then I totally fumbled the whole time, but that's my brand. How do I manage bathroom breaks? Okay, this is a big one. I drink water all the time. It is important for us and our health and our body and our brains to have water. Now, as a teacher, that means you have to pee all the time. And I'm already somebody, I don't know if I have people out there who are like me, but I already have to pee all the time. I'm already that person. One of the games that we play when we sit down to watch a movie is, how many times is Jenna going to get up and go pee? So for me, I have a trusted person whose door is connected to my classroom that the kids learn early on. I open up the door, I make my hand gesture to that teacher, they make a hand gesture back, and out I go. Now, my kids, I never go to the bathroom until I've set them up for something. So it's like set up, that moment where you're like, oh God, I gotta pee. You're like, okay, I got to get through this lesson so that I can get them on the setup so I can go. But I go in the middle of the day. I gotta pee, dude. I gotta pee. Okay, I'm sorry, but I have to pee. How do I get kids excited for the day? So I do something called Ways to Grow. No, Way to Goes and Ways to Grow. So Way to Go, woohoo, way to go. That's something that the student shares that they feel like they've done really well. We open this up. We open this idea up at the beginning of the day. They choose a way to go, something they're already proud of themselves for, and then a way to grow. And it's something that they want to work on. For one kid, it was like holding on to their pencil for X amount of days or whatever. Then at the end of the day, at the close session, then I had a sharing schedule where 3 kids a day would share what was their way to go for that day, what was their way to grow, and did they grow? Yes, way to go and ways to grow. So Robin just said that teachers have the highest incident of UTIs. I believe it, and I'm not going to do it. I had a kidney infection when I was like 20 something, and it was the worst pain in the world. I'll never know. And then how do I communicate with parents and how often? This is another thing that you're going to have to start small. So I always did Fun Friday phone calls. I chose 5 students every week, and I would just call home and say something positive. It took about 20 minutes. And sometimes, parents would take that as the opportunity to let me know everything they wanted me to know. But, doing 5 kids a day and only having 30 kids, every couple of weeks, I was being able to communicate with families. There are apps like Class Dojo that I find to be hugely useful, especially because Class Dojo has a profile section where students can take pictures of their benchmark assessments, their projects along the way. They can take pictures of anything and put it in this portfolio that parents have access to. And that portfolio follows the kid from grade to grade to grade. Class Dojo is my number one. There's also creating an email list to make it all easy for yourself. But there's also things like the apps that we use, Prodigy, Lexia, Teacher Monster to Read, Epic, all of these different programs. They all have parent connection built in. And so I just make sure that the parents all have access, because when I make those Friday phone calls, I feel like that's I'm here. And if you need more, then I'm here. So that's how frequently I connect with parents. Some parents I connected with on a daily basis. Some parents I never saw. That's the name of the game. So Anel said, asked me, did I write newsletters? And I didn't. No, I just went on to YouTube with my phone and said, hello, friends and family of 2nd grade. This is Mrs. Rogers coming at you with another What's Next Up in 2nd grade. This week, your students are going to be learning the ACK chunk. So if you see that out in the real world, you can point it out to them. We're also going to be learning how to look at the doubles when we're adding. Double facts means that 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4, and etc. All right, friends, I'll see you next time. And then that was it. And so they could just go on YouTube and then I'd post them on Facebook. So Facebook is another good way. I have a professional Facebook page and a personal Facebook page. In the world of education, sometimes teachers are held to a higher standard. That means, like, if I have booze in my hand in a picture, something might, somebody might be frustrated about that. I try for my own self and what I want to represent in the world to keep all of this G rated. Sometimes it gets a little PG-13, but that you got to remember that you've got all of this communication with the parents. And that's just what I do. All right. So that was all of those questions. Let me see, were there any other questions? So we're talking about social emotional learning. When you build the rules with the students, what do you think? Go ahead and type. What do you think is the benefit for the social emotional learning environment if the kids are involved in writing their own rules? I think we're going to get out of here in under an hour today, friends. So if I want you to think, if I had kids writing their own rules, how would that benefit or contribute to a social emotional learning environment? It does build that relationship. It does build that trusting relationship, especially when you say, hey, we've got a bargain and I'm holding it at my end. Yes. They really are, Leslie. They really are. And I've had kids in the middle of the year say, I don't think this rule applies anymore. So there's this idea of the hidden curriculum. That's all of the little choices you make about who's going to be the one to make choices. So there's something in Teaching in Love and Logic that I really liked called the savings account. And I let my kids make choices all the time. But the choices were like, should I use the green pen or the purple pen? You know, when we say choice, it doesn't have to be this drastic thing. But what Teaching for Love and Logic says is that every time the students make a choice, it's like there's a coin going into their choice savings account. So the less choices you make and the more choices they make, the bigger the savings account gets. That means, though, there's another power to this. If it is a day in which we absolutely must do what I say, for whatever reason, this is a situation in which you got to do what I say. I'm sorry, friends. We have these conversations, but there are times when students need to, and I will say to them, hey guys, look at this. You make all these choices all the time. It's time for me to make a choice. And that usually they're like, well, that's true. Yeah, we do pretty much run the show. Go ahead. We'll let you. Yes, Teaching with Love and Logic is amazing. And student voice is so powerful. Yeah. Yes, okay with this, and I'm okay with that. If you have some defiance and you're wondering what that looks like, it could be something as simple as, do you want to put your jacket on now or when we get outside? Do you want to begin your work now, or do you want to take a walk around the classroom? Both of those things are okay with me. You know, sometimes kids need that. Do you want to start your work at your desk, or would you like to start it at the rug? Yes, it's called, Christy, the title of the book is called Teaching with Love and Logic. Oh, I almost messed up. I almost messed up the stream again. Teaching with Love and Logic. It's great because it talks about so there's a dude on Twitter, he's called Doug Robertson, and his tag is like, he's the weird teacher, and he wrote a couple really good books, and one of them was he's the weird teacher and other things kids say behind my back. And it's a delightful book, but what he left on my heart was this analogy. He was a lifeguard before he was a teacher. And when a swimmer is drowning, you jump in and you save them. You don't stand on the side of the pool and say, why haven't you learned how to swim yet? I just taught you the backstroke. You don't do that. Lifeguards jump in and they save the drowning swimmer. Teachers, we have to do the same thing. When a kid starts going down a path of crisis, when they've been triggered or they're like just whatever it is that sets it off, they're drowning. They're drowning. If they're flailing and hurting people, it's not because they're trying to, it's because they are drowning. They need us to see that they're drowning and give them the out. Help them save face. You teach them empathy in that moment when it's no longer my way or the highway, when there's a bridge to that. That's really important for students. Yes, it's super powerful. So when you're building your culturally responsive classroom, when you're building your social emotional learning environment, ask yourself all the time, who's making the choices and why and why? Like I used to have a rule about I think I got really hard about pencils one year, which so funny is we talked about it last week and I was like, pencils, who cares? But when you're a young teacher, you're doing your best. And I can't remember, it was just something that just didn't work. And I was like, man, let's move on. I can't remember exactly where I was going with that. These things happen. So about bullying, I gotta take a sip. That's exactly what I'm about to talk about, Anel. Anel asked about how do you manage the classroom and that one kid? The answer is going to be a little controversial, but the answer is that the kids help. They absolutely help. They completely ignore behavior, no matter how crazy it is. This year we had a piece of profanity dropped at the level of second grade, which was pretty shocking, but the kids didn't react at all. So what I do is I teach kids that people struggle and sometimes they don't have adults in their life to teach them how to deal with it. So what you do with both at the same time is you create what I call cool down corners. So this is a space that has a very specific intention. So it's dressed up specifically. In one corner, there's a little chair with a mason jar that has it's like the oil and sand. When you shake it all up, all the pieces get all discombobulated, but when you wait, it all layers. That gives the emotional student the shaky shake. So that's the answer, is those cool down corners, because when that kid is blowing up, they can go to a cool down corner and save face. They don't have to blow up in front of the class. They can go there. That's one kind of cool down corner. Another kind of cool down corner is you draw a flower. My mentee did this. I thought it was so smart. You draw a flower, and then the students, when they come to the cool down corner, they pick up the flower and they breathe in as they approach the apex of the leaf, and then this will help them de-escalate themselves. So that's how I deal with it with the whole class at the same time. I'm in the middle of a lesson. Jenna stands up and says, F this place, and throws chairs. The rest of the class are looking at me in that moment. They're not looking at that student. They're looking at me. And then I just kind of kindly gesture, and that kid goes to the corner. And if they don't go to the corner, if they go outside, if they rant, if they rave, the kids in the class are looking at me. And once that kid's out of the class, I just begin class again. I let whoever needs to know if they ran out of the class. Usually it's the principal. Sometimes you'll have a resource officer, but the kids just learn, pause. I have a phone call to make, and then we just pick it right back up. Yes. Oh, Sierra, what a great idea to have. She says drinking water can really help kids calm down. And, a lot of people will say oh, then you're going to be giving more to one than the other. And here's the bottom line. Kids don't care. They don't care that Sally gets 10 more chances than they do because they get it. They're built closer to the ground. They understand it. They don't have the same cognitive messes that we do. So there's no kind of like argumentative. I've never had a kid be like, well, why does he get 10 pencils and I get one? Like that kind of thing. That just, because the kids always understood that we need different things. And in fact, one of the things I would do in my classroom was we'd say life lessons. I had a slide, and as we learned them, we'd add to them. And one of the slides was, fair means that everybody gets what they need, not what they want. Mm-hmm. Yes. So what kind of relief objects, Jacqueline is asking? There can be any, like you've got, you can get, kinetic sand is really expensive, but if you mix a cup of flour with a cup of oil, you basically have kinetic sand. So you can, they can futz with it. Legos are really good for calming down because it takes all of the brain energy back here, right to here, because you can't put Legos together when you're in crisis. Yes, that's great, I know. Yes, every student gets what they need. Yeah, Jennifer, what a great idea. Yeah, and like that, if you want to like do a lesson with your kids to talk about what that looks like, what I do is there's an image. I'm sure Anel will be able to help us find it. But there's an image, and you've probably seen it in all of your ed classes, where there's a chain link fence, and then everybody has one box, and you have a tall person who can see, a short person who can't, and another like medium person who can see. This person doesn't even need the box. So this is equality. Everybody gets the same. Then what the next image is again, here's the fence. This person didn't need the box. This person only needs one, and this person needs two. And now everyone can see over the fence. Now the next step is that's supposed to be equality, but true equality is there is no fence. You don't need boxes because there's no obstacle. That's true equality. That's true equality in education. All right, my friends, we are coming up on the hour-long mark. I feel like I've said everything. Oh, I'm going to say something about bullying, and then I'm going to tell you something about your assignment. Really important thing about bullying one of the important things you have to understand about what I'm about to say is that it's not popular. I believe the way that you handle bullies, and I saw this in my classroom, is you teach kids to care about the bully. You teach kids to empathize. You teach kids that when that bully is bullying you, they are in crisis and you can walk away. You don't have to engage. I saw a kid go from throwing chairs and screaming profanities, hitting, scratching, to that's like how angry this human was. And anytime they went into crisis, they just accessed that first emotion, to crying when they actually felt sad. That for me was another big moment, to have that human who normally explodes when they have feelings actually begin to express those feelings was very powerful for me. I believe the way that we stop bullies is by loving them unconditionally. That is controversial, and I understand, and you can have your own point of view, and I will respect you all the same. But love is the only thing that's going to reach somebody in crisis. Bullies are only bullies because they're in crisis and they have no idea how to meet their needs. They only know when they feel good when they're hurting other people, and they don't even know why. So my response to bullies have always been very honest with the kids, very much like if so-and-so gets up and they start raging, we're looking at me. We're not going to look at that person, because what that does is that embarrasses them, because then they have to relive that moment where they lost their mind and everybody was looking at them. I do not worry that that is sending positive reinforcement for bullying behavior. That's a great question, Matt. And thank you for asking it because it's a fair question. The reason I don't worry about it is because the positive reinforcement of being able to go to a corner is something that all the kids have access to. Also, when you have a group of humans who treat a bully with love, then there's no shortchanging anybody in that situation. And what happens is the kids who take that privilege too far, the class, there's just this magical thing that happens. I'm trying so hard to explain it. The positive reinforcement is it's okay for you to be mad. It's not like, oh, you're special and you get everything and everybody else gets nothing. Because the kids don't think that way. They understand the idea of equity deeply. And so there's no like pat on the back for being a jerk face, but there's no punch in the face either. So that is a great question. And you know what, honestly, I'm going to take that question with me and I'm going to reflect on it more because even if I don't always agree with something, when it's always good to look at the other side, to always just like, I'm going to put that on my back burner. Great question. And sometimes teachers can be the bully in the classroom. I mean, they really can. I used to be. You better do what I say. Like, absolutely used to be. Okay, thank you, Christy. Christy's talking about like, you know, what they're looking for. And that's true. The reason kids act out, whatever it is, whether it's shouting, whether it's being disorganized, whatever it is, this is like a light going off in a boat. And the kid is the boat. I speak in so many metaphors, but the kid is the boat and they may not even understand, you know what I mean, that they're leaking water. So when this behavior happens, it's because they are not getting a need met somehow. Once you teach them the reason that they're acting out, once you have those conversations with them and you have those by like when the kids are out at recess, instead of like, you have to stay in for recess. Sometimes I would keep kids in for recess, but only so that I could sit side by side with them and play with Legos and play with puzzles and just have a conversation because sometimes that's how you have to do it. So once you teach them like, oh, you know, there's a lot, you get mad sometimes when this happens. I wonder why. Then you teach them to recognize themselves and you give them a tool to patch that hole. So you know what? Since you know being mad is so hard, why don't we? The next time you're mad, why don't you go? Why don't you grab a pillow off of the reading sofa? Go outside and scream into that pillow with all your might and see if that helps. And from those conversations, you build a behavior plan. Then you're teaching, and here's the important part, and this is where I feel PBIS is getting misrepresented and not implemented correctly in a lot of places, is this is where a lot of programs stop. No. You now have to have an outside human, or you, because, you know, we're all underfunded, pay attention. Is that kid using that resource? Are they using it? Not just, okay, we learned about it, you learned it, and now we're all done. No. Are they using it when they get upset? And then being able to coach them in those moments. Right. And the power of this is once you teach them what they need, once you know what they need, then it can be like, okay, dude, I get it. You know what I mean? Like you wanted X, right? And this is the way you went and got X. But here's the thing, dude. If you do Y instead, not only do you get your needs, but your friends won't be upset with you. Yes, Leslie's talking about restorative justice in the classroom. When I taught at an alternative academy, we started with restorative circles every day. And the restorative circles are so powerful, but you have to understand that you are not part of that restoration process. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. Everybody can feel different, but here's how I feel. Restoration of peace happens in the classroom between students. That kid never has to make restorations or amends with me because for me, it's unconditional. You're learning, okay? I'm your teacher and you're learning. Oh, you misstepped? That's okay. I'm your teacher and you're learning. So it's something a little bit separate for me, but absolutely, those restorative circles can really be powerful. All right, my friends, it has been an hour and change. If you have any questions, please start typing them and I will stay. Philip, that's an excellent question. Philip asks, how do you know what a bully needs? Genius question, because a lot of times they don't know what they need. The way that I figure out what a bully needs is I spend side by side time with that human, putting together a puzzle or playing with Legos, usually. There's something about a side to side with a common project in front of you, even if you're not building something specific, that after 3 minutes or 4 minutes, that kid's going to open up and tell you stuff. Yes, of course, go. Everybody go if you like. Oh, I'm sorry. Your class assignment was, Anel wanted me to let you know that she has updated the Google Doc and she has changed the post assignment that you're going to put into a shared Google folder. Sierra has a point of, really being careful about what you're doing when you're talking about restorative justice, because if restorative justice, like she's talking about, is like just railing on a kid, you're not building anything. I mean, you're not building a thing there. You're just tearing everything down in that moment. Is there a way to further differentiate calm down spaces from timeout spaces? Yes, you absolutely could. So what you could do is you could say all of the purple corners are cool down table or cool down corners, and all the green corners are timeout corners, if that's what you wanted to do. Yes. So Anel is saying that ask the kid if they need it. And yeah, that's really powerful. Anel, I'm glad you said that. I don't think I always asked. I think I always just kind of like, oh, I think you need a little minute. Excellent. Everyone, you may leave. I'm just hanging out to answer any questions. Thank you so much for showing up. I hope you got something interesting. I did make a video about classroom economy. Yeah, it's rough. It can be so, yeah. It is my pleasure, friends. Thank you so much for coming. I love you. Please take care of yourself and your families. Making amends is such a powerful thing. Oh, so Jenna, great question. So Jenna's asking, how do you know when they come back? All of my cool down corners had an expiration time. So like when you went and shook the jar, the expiration time was when all the layers separated again. If you were doing the flower, it was like after the second time you went around the flower, you returned to class. And you know what? Megan's saying that she's going to use a cool down corner. Girl, I will tell you, I used a cool down corner. Remember, I told you I used to be a yeller. I used to have that kind of like, I think it was all about like wanting to be my absolute best, but it like somehow changed into frustration in the translation. And so like it got to the point where like, as I was practicing not yelling at them, I would also take tone breaks. I would literally say, "Oh, guys, I just heard the way my voice came out. I think I need a little cool down time. You guys, will you please talk to each other about 3 animals and go?" And I mean, it was really just to keep them so I could just kind of go to the corner and be like, "You got to get it together. You got to get it together." For upper grades, recommending about bullying is having some kind of classroom contract and making bullying like an article of that contract and talking to the student. So I would still sit side by side with that student. You know, Legos, I know they feel really little, but I played with Legos with, with an 11th grader with a really complex path. Instead of Legos, if you want to like just put anything that will have their fingers futzing. Because what's going to happen is the reason they're going to let down their guard is because you're sitting with them and all of their brain power is going to go into their hands. So just have them do something with their hands, whether it's helping you grade or cut, and then just, be gentle and ask kind questions and let them tell you what's going on. Project Cornerstone is a great, there's also curriculum out there. Yes, thank you for reminding me, Swati. She's saying that there's the Project Cornerstone project with lots of resources. And there's full-on resources out there. You could do, for bigger kids, you could do mock trials. You could do, okay, good. Excellent. All right, my friends, there's 27 of you left. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm going to stay right here and answer them. Otherwise, you may click off and go enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Ooh, I hear my husband. All right, friends, any other questions? Oh, where can you find me on Facebook? Facebook.com/Mrs. Jenna Rogers Pro. It is my pleasure, you guys. It means so much to me that you show up and that you participate. Really, truly, thank you so much. You're great educators right now. Please take care of yourselves and please don't compare yourselves and please enjoy your journey because it's going to go like that, my friends. All right, there's less than 20 of you. I'm going to wait just a few more minutes in case somebody was typing up a question. All right, my friends, I will see you next Wednesday. Take care of yourselves.